Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the Lions. Coming back right side, 25. Picks up a block at the 30. It's at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. Enzo. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones. Stafford!
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, what is going on? It is a Wednesday here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, and we got a special surprise for you today because we are bringing you some off-season content. You guys know I have a battle with Grifka every week here on the show. I mean, I brought up something years ago. It's called the Triple G, which is give Grifka grief, and that's when I had to get on him when I was doing my show with Chuck and whoever else. I'm just here to tell you, Grifka's not here today. I can only take so much of the guy. The off season, we're doing some different things. I need some different voices, some different personalities. I needed some juice. I needed some people with that Detroit Kool-Aid. You guys know what I need.
Drink it in, man.
Exactly. So we're going to be doing some different things this off season. You guys are still going to get me and Grifka together, battling it out. I know there's some Grifka favorites out there that love this guy and thinks, why am I so rude to him? Because he's Grifka. He's at Grifka DKC. That's why. But like I say, we're going to have some shows. There's going to be some other shows with different voices. And I'm happy to introduce one of those voices here today. So you guys, I'm probably the biggest Detroit Kool-Aid cast of all time. I mean, Matt Stafford getting traded. We're going to get all into it. We got lots of opinions. But this guy's making his debut on the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast. His name is Aaron Bullock. I mean, this guy goes by AB Couch Coach in fantasy football. I mean, this guy's a podcaster, a creative genius, a businessman. I mean, this guy finished second place in my big competitive league I've had fantasy football with my buddies the past decade. This guy comes in as a rookie and gets second. Are you kidding me? I mean, he did lose to me in the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast Fantasy League in 2020. I mean, he made the losers bracket in 2021. I mean, this guy's got it all going on. He knows football. He's funny. I think it's going to be a great part of the show. I mean, this guy can talk fantasy football. He loves the Lions. I mean, he's here to chop it up. You can call him Aaron. You could call him the AB Couch Coach. Or you could call him Aaron Bullock. Aaron, what up, though? Welcome to the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast.
Drink it in, man.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
I am doing fantastic, man. I don't know if I have ever had that glorious of an introduction in my entire life.
Was that Nate Burleson quality or what? I tried to bring you with some energy. I tried to bring it. I mean, I didn't do the crazy yell at the end like he does, but I thought I did you some justice there. I kind of gave you a little more credit probably than you deserve, but I think it's going to be a great show today.
Yeah, I mean, that was very Nate Burleson-esque. You talk about beating me. That's not going to happen this upcoming year for sure. I'm going to take first. I took a crappy team and got second. So that team's going to become first this year, 100%. But I mean, enough of fantasy football because we have got a lot to cover. Talk about, everybody thinks Jared Goff's got a lot of pressure coming up. I mean, talk about making your debut on the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast.
You know what it is.
After Matthew Stafford's traded.
Fill up a glass.
Drink it in, man.
Here's the thing, Mr. Couch Coach. First of all, we're going to get into Stafford. We're going to talk about Goff. But a little bit of this fantasy football smack talk. I mean, we never had a guy come in the league. Almost they always come in and finish last. So you earned a little respect from me there. I mean, Grifka doesn't do fantasy football. He's old man, get off my lawn. We're not going to talk about the people. Because like you said, this is the biggest show of all time. The people want to hear what the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast has to say. And like I say, people are going to get me and Grifka's opinion. They're going to hear Grifka's takes on a Friday show. He's got it all for you. But we're ready to talk about it here today. But Aaron, what I thought I'd do, you're a big fan. You listen to the show. Me and you have got to know each other well. I'm glad to have you on. You know that I've been known to do a Caruso or two to get us started, huh? A Caruso, one of the famous Jim Rome gimmicks done by Jay Moore. You heard about this?
Oh, absolutely.
So the way the Caruso goes, to get us started off right for the people that haven't heard it, is Jay Moore would always debut on Jim Rome, and he would always do these funny gimmicks where I forget even the show. It's like a cop show. I wish I could remember the name. It doesn't matter. What he would do is it's almost like a pun, but at the end you pause and then you hit the word that's funny, and then you drop the Who music on him. Everybody knows how we do it, and I do it in honor of Frank Ribble. So let's go ahead and get a Caruso off the board, and then let's talk some Matt Stafford. So Frank Ribble, this goes out to you as well as Skip on Twitter, who loves these. And I actually did this one on Twitter yesterday, and it got a like and a comment from the one and only Jay Moores, who's a tremendous comedian. That was a highlight for me. So let's go ahead and get this Caruso in. Here we go. Well, Frank, I guess you could say all the Stafford jerseys are half Goff. Aaron, does that get us off to a good foot or what? I mean, half Goff. Are you kidding me? That's how you tie them all together. I'm sitting here.
You couldn't have started out with a better Caruso.
that like, I've had some shaky ones, don't get me wrong, but I think that's top quality. And when Jay Moore likes it, I mean, you know it's good. But let's get into this. I'm sitting at my house Saturday at like 10:30. I'm kind of staying busy on a million things like I do. I mean, everybody knows I'm the worker of the show. Grifka, you know, he's Grifka. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all of a sudden it pops up on my phone. Matt Stafford to the LA Rams for a first, a third, and then at the bottom I saw, and Jared Goff. And like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. One, because of the draft pick compensation. Two, because I had said on this very show that Brad Holmes might want to get together with, I don't know, the guys from the Rams and cook up a little conspiracy theory that you might want to do a little inside deal, a little inside business, and get Matt Stafford over to the LA Rams. They give away draft picks like candy. And then maybe I was hoping they'd send Jared Goff somewhere else because I knew his contract was horrible. But this thing lit it up. Everybody was all over it. Detroit fans seemed to love it. Aaron, I'm here to tell you, I called the conspiracy theory. It went down. Brad Holmes making a big move. Matt Stafford leaving the Detroit Lions to go to LA Rams, and us getting crazy draft capital and a starting quarterback. Like, what were your thoughts when you saw this?
I didn't know. Honestly, a lot of the stuff with the Stafford trade recently, you remember back in the day when like Ian Rappaport would start doing like fake tweets? That's kind of what I thought the entire time through every single thing related to Matt Stafford. I'm just like, yeah, this is Ian just joking. And then it's like, oh, no, it wasn't. He's not joking. Everybody's retweeting this. This is actually a thing. I was incredibly happy, man.
Yeah, this was a legit tweet that came out. So you were fired up, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I was actually I was in the middle of a poker game, but I started calling everybody that I know, and I'm like, yes. Did you see what went? Because you know, a lot of people that I talk to here locally don't use Twitter, but I'm like, did you see what happened? So I'm always like the first one with the news, and I'm like a kid on Christmas morning. Like, did you see it? Did you see what happened? Did you see what we just got for Stafford? I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love Matthew Stafford, but I love this trade so much more.
So basically, this was your reaction.
Oh, baby!
Basically, to sum it up.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Like, I know you sent me a text, and I was kind of like, I love the draft picks. I'm not a big Goff fan. And you were like, no, this is a good deal. I mean, you were pretty high on Goff from what I could tell. I mean, I just two ones and a 3. Like, some of my buddies that want to nitpick this, or I've talked to a couple of them, they were just kind of like, oh, you know, we'll see what they do. And I'm kind of like, see what they do? Like, I talked to you last year, and you were completely done with Matt Stafford. You would have been fine if we thrown him out with the bathwater. Like, now we got 2 1s, a 3, and a QB back that's 25, 26 years old, and that can play while we're trying to rebuild the team. Like, the more I thought about this deal, like the more I just loved it on so many levels, and it just showed me that Brad Holmes has a real pulse of this whole thing, because he didn't even jump into like the people that are saying, well, why didn't you get the 8th pick from Carolina? Why? Because he knows that we're still in COVID right now and it's hard to scout, and he also knows that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, the guys that I supported for 3 years on this show, it's a dumpster fire on this roster. So he was like, let me get picks the next couple years. Let me get my stuff together. Let the head coach get his feet under him. Let's put this back together. So I've got more excited every day about it. I just love everything about it.
Yeah, honestly, it feels surreal because it's like you mentioned, Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia basically come in, soak this team in kerosene, and light it at the bottom. Just, I mean, up in flames. And what I love, not only the trade itself and all of what we got with it, but the fact that it was 10:30 on a Saturday night, the week before the Super Bowl, and this staff's in there working. I mean, that to me speaks volumes compared to the previous staff that we had. And I was going nuts.
I think, I think we might have sound of what Bob Quinn was doing most of the time he was in the office. You want to hear some exclusive sound here on the show?
Oh, absolutely.
Bob Quinn, hard at work, everybody. Watching T's Tabor tape. Oh, my gosh. So I'm right there with you. Now, let me ask you this about the timing, because when I first heard about all this going down, it blew the roof off about Stafford and them mutually agreeing. My thought was, you got to sort of let this play out. I was expecting like a mid-February type move, late February even, sort of let it roll out. The fact that it happened so dang quick, and that it seemed to be a move that we love here in Detroit, Matt Stafford's real happy with, the Rams seem to be happy with for whatever reason. We're just rolling in picks for the next 3 years, and have this mystery of Jared Goff. Like, I feel like not only did it happen quick because of the work they were putting in, like you said, but it's kind of odd timing, but it seemed to all work out, even though they pulled the trigger pretty quick. You think?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that everybody was saying about Brad Holmes when he was first hired was, oh, that dude just sells off first round picks. And that was my initial fear was, oh, great, he's going to come in here and start selling first round picks. No, the dude on a random January Saturday got us 2 more first round picks and a first round pick quarterback and a 3rd round pick. I mean, this dude's just bringing in draft capital left and right. I mean, talk about that's how you rebuild the team. This dude's serious about it.
Yeah, I think so, no doubt. Now, Aaron, if you're going to be on the show, once in a while, like I say, you're going to have to bring that juice. You're going to have to bring that energy. You're going to have to fill in the mighty shoes of @Grifka DKC. And like I do with him, I've been known to pick up on a little bit of a nuance. So I can't make a bell strictly for you, but I picked up on the absolutely's already. So I need you to change it up. I need you to give the people a little something different, as well as bring that energy, because I don't want you putting them to sleep like Grifka's been known to do on the show. So like you say, keep this going. I like the positivity. We definitely got some cornbread in the oven, which I can respect.
Cornbread!
So I like that, but we got to keep bringing it for the people. So here's one thing I know everybody's caught up on. It's like Jared Goff. The dude makes $27.8 million cap hit this year, $25.5 next year. There's an out in 2023. The dude's going to be 26, 27 head into the year. Nobody loves how he's playing football like the last however many games, or even the last season or so. But like, I guess I'm just here to tell people, like, you don't just get quarterbacks that were number 1 overall picks hanging off trees or for free. So the fact that this guy had enough game where that organization, as well as, I don't know, Brad Holmes, wanted to take this guy number 1 overall in the draft, shows me that he can throw the football. He's smart. He can make plays. Is he a world beater at quarterback? No. But the fact that he's got all this going for him, and that we got him almost as a throw-in in an area where I was hearing friends of mine going like, oh, I'd love to see Chase Daniel play. You would? Why? He's horrible. You want to see Fitz magic? Why? He's just brutal. Like, I don't want to see that. I'm much more interested to see what Jared Goff can bring to Detroit as either a bridge or resurrect his career, or what he can do here. So with his cap hits and some of the things, is there any worries for you, or are you just all in, like, he's our guy next year and maybe beyond, and I'm good with it?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. At first, I was a little bit concerned with the contract size, but really, I mean, that's just what happens when you get a quarterback in the NFL. A lot of people are acting like he's garbage, but there were names floating around out there that I was horrified of. Carson Wentz coming to Detroit. Can you imagine that? No, thank you. Hard no, thank you.
No.
I mean, we get Goff, and really, I know you said you were going to get into some statistics and whatnot. I don't want to spoil it or anything, but like when you look at Goff's first 5 years versus Stafford's first 5 years, there's not a real huge difference. I mean, statistically, and Goff didn't have a Calvin Johnson.
Let the people know. Throw them out there. You're dropping some knowledge now. I'm right there with you. I have here on my sheet a bullet point that says Jared Goff is Matt Stafford light to me. He's the same type of guy. He'll make some plays. He'll make some mistakes. He'll drive you nuts. Sometimes he'll get you excited when he has a blowout game. He's going to be that ho-hum guy in the locker room where, I don't know, just kind of going around with the punches, that whole West Coast personality. He's going to be cool. He was a captain with the Rams, and he's had good reviews from his teammates, so people like him. But like you said, I think people are acting like he's a bottom-level quarterback when really when you look at the numbers, and yeah, he was on a good team, he had good offense for a couple years, we get it. But dude's been to 2 Pro Bowls, went to the Super Bowl, won playoff games. That's plural, people. Multiple playoff games. Like, I mean, this is just something to be. That. Yeah. Well, who's been there, done that? Goff?
Goff. Yeah, absolutely.
You know who hasn't been there and done that? Matt Stafford. He hasn't brought any of that to the city of Detroit in 12 years. So, I mean, you've heard the show. Everybody knows where my stance is. I like Matt Stafford. I'm happy to have him as my quarterback. He does nothing wrong. He does all these good things. He's got a nice family, all that stuff. He can throw the hell out of the football, lots of good stats and numbers. But the fact that he never won and never was that outward leader to get our team over the hump, yes, I'm always going to somewhat hold that against him. And do I think Jared Goff has that it factor? Hell no, I don't. But I think when you just talk about a guy that can zing it and kind of do some similar things, Matt Stafford light is Jared Goff for the next year or two for me for the Detroit Lions. So it sounds like we're on the same page there.
Similar page, but one thing I do want to add is that a lot of people don't realize that in the 2020 season, the Rams completely changed what they were allowing Goff to do. They used to do a lot of play action. They would let him get outside of the pocket. Right. I mean, this dude in his 5 years only has like 4 rushing touchdowns less than Stafford has in his entire 12 years. But they started keeping him in the pocket. Goff needs to be able to get outside of that pocket. And I think once you combine Goff with DeAndre Swift, get him a couple young wide receivers and, get all these former Patriots out of here, I think he can make I think he could turn it around, to be honest with you. And Matthew Stafford can be Jared Goff light.
That's a strong take by you. I mean, everybody's acting like Matt Stafford's going to go and just roll into the Super Bowl with the Rams. Do I think the Rams have a good team when you're talking about their defense and some offensive skill guys? I mean, Kupp, Woods, and Akers, that's no joke. You know what I mean? I mean, half those guys will probably be on AB Couch Coach's fantasy team. He'll have number 9 back there when we have our draft next year. But for me, I think he's going to be good, but I can guarantee there's going to be some of the same issues with Stafford out there where big game, Monday Night Football, under the lights, the guy's probably going to come up a little bit short. Or let me do it how Benny Blades would do it. He's going to come up short. You know what I'm saying? He comes up short too much, and that's what's the problem here. Whereas Jared Goff, I mean, best case scenario, like you said, Swift, Hawkinson, maybe a top flight receiver. I don't see Kenny coming back. But yeah, if they put weapons around Jared Goff, I could see him being fun to watch at times, but I'm just telling you now, I don't think you're gonna be calling Goff Stafford light. I think it's gonna be the other way. Like Matt Stafford's doing nice things out in LA, he's winning games, and Goff's keeping us afloat here while we're totally redoing the roster. That's how I see it going down.
Yeah, I don't see him taking a quarterback in the first round of this year's draft by any means anymore. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that Goff is going to turn it around. I mean, he's got that anger now of oh, you didn't want me? You didn't want me? Okay. All right. Well, I'll show you exactly why you're stupid for that.
Does he though? I mean, do you see Jared Goff having that in him? Like, I did see some quotes where him and McVay not only had it out, but there's some things which I don't know we should totally get into on the Detroit Koolaid Cast that Mr. Goff said about the soon-to-be Mrs. McVay and some things that were flying there. So I think there was just some issues with the quarterback and the head coach. But, like, Jared Goff, I don't see him being like, oh, I'm going to show you. I think he's going to come here. He's going to make the plays that are open. And like, I guess I don't want to undersell it. Like, I feel good that he was just kind of like the add-in. And oh, by the way, when we took you as an add-in, we forced the LA Rams to throw another first, which here's my other thing. We got to get our great sponsors in here. And then after the break, I want to talk to you about kind of draft, free agency, like what does all this mean for the team? But this is the other thing that's been driving me nuts. People are like, well, the Rams are going to be good, so this is going to be a low first rounder. Aaron, I'm here to tell you, I will take 2 first-round picks any day. I don't care if they're both 32. I'm going to find myself a great football player on a great contract that I can put on this team, and I'm going to do that every day of the week, twice on Sundays. Like, I don't care where this pick ends up being. It's going to be gold for the Detroit Lions as long as Brad Holmes and company make a good selection. You know how that goes in the draft. I mean, you shouldn't miss in the first round, but it's been known to happen. But if he hits these and hits doubles or triples or hopefully home runs, this is going to change the whole future of the Detroit Lions. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, it's not just former accountant / lawn care company organizer Rod Wood making these picks anymore. This is we've got football people in here now. It's people are completely overlooking that. I will take 2 late first round picks in following years than 1 high pick any day of the week.
Yeah, like 1 high pick now too. Like, let's say you nail that pick from Carolina. Like, what? That's going to win you 10 games next year? No, that's going to be 1 wasted year. Logan Lamb-Randier, who we have on the show from Sports Illustrated, he made a point which I wasn't on board with until now, that like your best bet is to sort of load up your roster and then grab that QB a year or so before you're ready to rock and roll. That's how you really get the most out of your team. So that's kind of where I hope they go with it. I mean, we'll see how they build. I'm not against a QB. We'll talk about that after the break in the draft. But let me tease people with a little bit more Jared Goff, and then we're taking our commercial break. You seem high on him, Aaron. Like I looked up some of his numbers. I mean, 18,171 passing yards in only 5 seasons. That works out to be 3,800 to 4,600 per on an average. I mean, 107 touchdowns. That's 20 to 30 a year. That's not elite by any means. I mean, my thing with Matt Stafford was all the love he always got. It was like, dude was never up in the 33, 35, 40 touchdowns. He was always in that middle 20s. That doesn't get it done in 2020 in the National Football League. Now, that 1 year he blew up, I'd love to have that a little bit more often, but we only saw that one time, and that just disappeared. Jared Goff is 63.4 completion percentage. You love that to come up a little bit, getting 65, 68. That'd be ideal. And then 55 interceptions. So that's about 13 to 16 the last few years, which is more than you want. I mean, but if you're throwing touchdowns to balance those out, that's not too bad. And like I said, I already mentioned it. 2 Pro Bowls, 1 Super Bowl. Teammates seem to like him. 91.5 QBR. And, the Goff versus McVay, the turnovers, I mean, he just needs to win in Detroit. And like I said earlier, he just needs to have the right attitude. He needs to make more plays than mistakes, and he needs to be a leader on this team, vocal or otherwise. He just needs to be a steadying presence at the quarterback position. That's where I'm at with Goff. And like I said, I just can't say enough about these draft picks. Even the 3rd rounder this year to me is a really nice little piece of this deal that not many people are talking about.
Yeah, just to kind of give my quick take on Jared Goff.
Load it up.
When you're coming to Detroit, you better realize it's Detroit versus everybody.
Always.
And, that's just a fact. And like you said, the 3rd round this year, that's going to be definitely a nice little grab. I think we can we'll probably grab a wide receiver and maybe a piece to the interior defensive line to help us out and start building for when we grab that quarterback in the future that isn't Jared Goff.
Yeah, exactly. I really hope he comes here focused. I don't think he's going to come here with that mentality that you mentioned where it's just like, I'm going to show I'm just going to ball out. But if he comes here focused, he's a team guy. Obviously, the front office loves him. I think that'll be great. I think the team can start to formulate their team. I'm really curious to see where they go in free agency in the draft. But like I said, let's go ahead and get our sponsors in here. We got great sponsors on the show. And we'll come back after the break, and I want to kind of talk. We talked about the deal. We talked a lot about Jared Goff. We've had some fun here in the beginning of the show. The back half, I kind of want to talk about, okay, now you got Goff. Now you got some of these skill players, and you got a dumpster fire on defense. Like, how would the AB couch coach try to fix the Detroit Lions? So everybody, it's a fun, different Detroit Koolaid Cast today. Everybody will be right back right after the break. What's going on, everybody? This is your host, Derek Oakrey of the Detroit Koolaid Cast, and this is normally where I tell you about some of our great sponsors. But today, I want to tell you about my other Lions podcast. It's called Believe in Lions, and that's spelled BLEAV on the Believe Podcasting Network with both myself and Lions legendary safety Benny Blades. Yeah, you know who he is, the hard-hitting safety Benny Blades. Played for the Lions. He also played for the you know what it is, the University of Miami, those Miami Hurricanes. He mentions it multiple times a show. Benny loves to talk about his Hurricanes, his Lions, and I love to play this soundbite on the show. We have a ton of fun on that show. We laugh, we joke, we talk Lions. Like I said, he brings up the Hurricanes. I talk about my Michigan Wolverines. It's a really fun show. Benny loves the Lions. He tells great stories from his playing days, as well as we're just rooting on this team. We BLEAV in the Lions. So please go ahead, find it on your favorite podcast platform. Hit that subscribe button and check it out. Share it with a friend. We really appreciate it. So check out Believe, BLEAV in Lions with myself and Benny Blades. Thank you guys so much. Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers, we are back from the break. Thank you so much for the sponsors. You don't know how much that helps. And you probably heard about my other podcast. It's called Believe, BLEAV and Lions with the one and only Benny Blades. And everybody knows I like to work the soundboard. So I'm going to probably have to hit Benny with a couple of these. But listen to this gem that he gave me last week here on the show. I mean, one of the classics from good old Benny Blades.
Going to the pay one.
Unbelievable. Benny loves going to the pay window. And Benny loves himself some One Pride.
One pride. One pride.
I mean, say it one more time for me, Benny Blades.
One pride.
Absolutely. Everybody's got that one pride now with this trade that's going down. We're changing this team. We're getting it all back going together. So Aaron's back with me here on the back half of the show. It's his debut of the show. I had to give him the crazy intro. I had to beat him up a little bit on the beginning part of the show. I thought he had some great takes on this trade, Jared Goff. And here we are in the back half. And what I want to talk about is now what? You made the trade. You got a quarterback that can play, good, bad, or otherwise. He's got a big price tag. We know that. You got 2 first-round picks in your back pocket. You got a 3rd-round pick this year, which we don't know where that's going to land, but like we talked about even in the 1st round, you can find a good player there in the 3rd. So, Aaron, what's either your strategy, and then what do you think the Lions are thinking when it comes to sort of, you made this deal, you're about to head into free agency. Some people are saying just lose, don't go big on any free agents. Some people are wanting like Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay, spending big money on receivers and whatnot. Where are you at with like kind of like the plan, as well as we're going to transition to some draft talk? Because you know I love myself some NFL draft here on the show. I got to get that sound bit anytime I can. So what are you thinking?
I love that sound bit, by the way. I hope that me and the Lions are on the exact same page. And what I mean by that is I think the first thing that they need to do is they need to head over to Home Depot. They need to get a bunch of those big old black contractor bags and just start cleaning house here with some of these dead cat players, these New England Patriot rejected players. I think that's a really good starting place.
20-gallon bags at least.
Oh, you got to go with a 50-gallon, and maybe even get the drum for a little extra support. I don't even think you could just have the bags. If you're gonna have to double bag it, because a little bit of a dumpster fire.
Well, what about one of those just makeshift dumpster that just pulls up to your house that you could just load up with everything and just have them haul it away? How about that?
That's not a bad idea either. Just pull it right up to Allen Park. Just have them drop it, maybe right in the middle of the field, and we just kind of start chucking people in there. I mean, because some of the dead cap's got to go.
How about we have Aaron Glenn call a defensive meeting? The guys show up, and then like you said, we just start chucking fools.
just hand them each like one of those little one ticket to ride the ride kind of thing. But just when you hand them the ticket, they've got to jump into the dumpster, and then they get to ride the garbage truck out of here.
Yeah, we'll see you right out of Allen Park as fast as they can go. But yeah, what are you doing with Jamie Collins?
So he's probably like one Patriots player where I'm like, all right, maybe keep him around just because of the experience. He's been in the league a little bit. But what I'm doing with Jamie Collins is I'm bringing in Micah Parsons right behind him to learn from him. That's my main goal.
All right. I think Jamie Collins, I mean, again, he got paid $10 million. Everyone thought he's going to be good. He made a couple plays this year. I mean, if I had to sum up Jamie Collins, kind of like bringing him in and sort of like what Bob Quinn thought he was going to do, I mean, it'd probably be this.
It's a bad decision. Period, point blank. It was one of the dumbest decisions I ever made.
I feel like you can't play with Jamie Collins. He makes a couple tackles. He's always trying to go after the football. He's got to go, in my opinion. Now, I want to ask you real quick about Parsons because I've been getting beat up on Twitter a little bit. You can find me at Derek Okrie, DerekOkrie. When I threw out my mock this week, I took Parsons and I loaded up on some other defense. I really love how that mock turned out. And people were like, Parsons got all these character concerns. Oh, he's going to drop. Hey, I wouldn't want him on my team. I'm like, where do you sit with some of that stuff, Aaron?
I've heard you guys say it on the podcast multiple times. When we're grabbing a first round defensive player, he needs to be a dog. He can't. I'm not looking for somebody that's going to have tea and crumpets with their grandma on the weekend. I'm looking for somebody that's going to come in here and want to just play like crazy. Now, the whole character issues and things like that don't concern me at all. He's young. Every young person's an idiot.
Exactly. I like that take. Like for forever. I mean, I forget where Grifka stands. I think he's with me. You can't have a bunch of church boys up there like, yeah, we want a good team. We don't want to be in the police blotter every other day like we were with Jim Schwartz. But like, I'm tired of having all these great guys that can't play football. So if I got to have a couple roughnecks in there, a couple dogs, as you say, DAWGS, get me some. Get me some. I know Grifka don't know what a dog is. I try to teach him every time on the show. He still doesn't get it. Yeah. Micah Parsons is a dog. I know he maybe has some issues, but dude can play football. He can run, hit, and tackle, and that's what I need from a middle linebacker. So, like you said, you're kind of keeping Collins around, thinking that you're going to have that competition. I'm getting Collins out of here. That contract, though, is no good. Well, so do you think they go big in free agency? Do you think they make any big splashes, or is this a year where we're just sitting there going, straight up crickets in free agency because they just know it's not going to be good anyway and just getting some of those mid-level? And do you think it's going to be a repeat of these other regimes where we start bringing in Saints, Rams, all these players from these teams these guys came from that nobody's heard of or we know can't play, but they just like them because they were on their previous team? What do you think?
Honestly, this is going to be probably the most interesting offseason in Detroit Lions history ever because they bring in all these people, all these football minds that all seem to be able to work together collaboratively. And then you bring in John Dorsey, who I was completely surprised when they hired him because the guy really can't work with anybody. But at the same time, I have the concerns that, okay, we're not going to have cap space. We got to take on Goff's contract. We've got all these garbage cans that we might as well have brought from high school practice drill days on our defense and Desmond Trufant and other guys. And we bring Dorsey in, who is just historically known for being fired for mismanaging cap space and spending way too much money. So I'm kind of excited for that because as much as I know that we don't have a lot of cap space, having to take on all these, your big V contracts that don't make any sense, and Desmond Trufant, like I'd mentioned, I feel like Dorsey's going to kind of press them to make some big free agent acquisitions at the same time. So I don't know. It's going to be wild.
As I often do with Grifka on a Friday show, I got to take a couple detours. And I heard a big sigh come out of me, and that was because you mentioned a couple other of just some glorious, just some amazing acquisitions by good old Bob Quinn. Oh, Hal Vitae, Trufant. I mean, a bunch of bums. And then I got to also give you a little bit of junk, and I'm going to get Grifka here in on the show on this one, because you start using his gimmicks. You're talking about the Grifka trash cans out there. I mean, that's a classic Grifka, so I'll let him ask you this.
What the hell are you doing?
I mean, you know that's a Grifka gimmick. Next thing you know, you're going to be talking about us getting screwed by the refs and how the teams don't like us and he ain't that great. I mean, geez, oh man. Like, but I here's where I'm at with you with Dorsey. Like, you sound like you're a little bit befuddled by Dorsey, or like you're not sure about him. I mean, the only thing I'm not sure about him is that he's probably going to have to be locked in the office, because I hear people aren't going to like him when he's walking down the hallway, but this dude can scout some football. The fact that he interviewed for the GM, didn't get it, and still came to the Lions to help them out either means that paycheck's looking pretty dang nice, or these guys got a burr under their saddle and they're trying to get the Detroit Lions up over the hump and get us to actually get a good quarterback, get some good talent, and start winning some ball games. So Dorsey, I think, is a huge coup by Sheila Ford Hamp or whoever, and Holmes, allowing a guy like that to be in there in the mix. And when you got Dan Campbell as your head coach, I mean, I'm not too worried that Dorsey's going to get out of line, because, I mean, if he does.
We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to smile at you. We're going to take your other kneecap. We're going to smile at you. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. We're going to be the last one standing. All right? That's going to be the mentality.
Exactly, Dan Campbell. Wait till John Dorsey says something that Dan Campbell doesn't like in a meeting. I mean, this might be the reply.
You've had enough of that.
Oh, I think it's going to work out great. We got football people, like you said. I'm fired up about it.
Oh, yeah, same here. And with John Dorsey, like you mentioned, you didn't really know what my take was on him. I don't really know if I have a take, because the guy is such a football brain. I mean, he met his current wife scouting for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, this guy's all football. I picture him having to be toted around to any time where he's going to be scouting. I picture him in one of those old a circus wagons with the bars, where he's one of the attractions. But it's just going to be because they need to keep him away from the rest of the staff, because I feel like the rest of the staff is just going to hate him, but be like, but he's kind of got a point.
I don't know. I think it's going to be great in there. I mean, again, I hate to hit you with another Grifka, but it sounds like you're not quite for sure.
What the hell are you doing?
I mean, you got to have a take on this show. I mean, what does Jim Rome say? Have a take that doesn't suck? I mean, John Dorsey, his resume is like a mile long. I mean, the guy's made tremendous draft picks. He's been on it's great, Packers, Chiefs, Browns. I mean, all the teams that are basically balling right now, he was a big part of. And yeah, they kicked him out because they were sick of him and because he got a little bit out of whack, but he's not the guy. Just like Spielman's not the guy. I had to talk to Benny Blades for 20 minutes about Chris Spielman's not the GM, but he can still help the team and can still do good things. So Spielman, Campbell, Holmes, Dorsey, much better than Tom LaWand, Martin Mayhew, Matthew Millen, and all these other scrubs that we've had since I've been a fan of the Detroit Lions. Can I get a front office that knows what they're doing? Can I get a draft pick that can actually play some football? That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think you got the staff now that you're looking for. Now it's just to be determined on the draft, and I cannot wait for the draft. I've never been this excited for a draft, and it's we're not even going to have the combine or anything like that, but I'm still extremely excited for it.
We're not going to have the combine, and you're going to be excited this year. Wait till we start having double picks in round one. You're talking about some mayhem. People are saying, oh, Brad Holmes going to get rid of these picks, and he's going to trade up this year and give away one or two of those. Gosh, I'd love for him just to hang on to them and kind of really make this work, because I'm looking at 4 studs with those picks, maybe a guy that's a little bit lower than a guy that you can build around. We've already got young talent of Swift, Hawkinson, Ragnow, Grifka's favorite guy, Taylor Decker. The defense is where I'm at. Where are you at with Jeff Okudah, since we're talking rosters? Are you out on this guy, or are you hey, he just was totally brought along wrong. He was hurt, and he's going to ball out. We're going to be like, wow, we got a top 10, top 8 type corner here before we know it.
Oh, I think he'll be a top 10, top 8 corner, maybe even top 5. I mean, you look at the people that they brought in to help this kid. I mean, you got Aaron Glenn, he's been there, he's done that. You've got, Aubrey Pleasant, he's been there, done that. He Michigan native, he worked for the Wolverines, and he helped them tremendously. And I think he's the guy to be able to help Jeff Okudah.
There's no doubt. And the thing that makes me so angry with people and Grifka, some other buddies, they really put it like it's a what have you done for me like yesterday. And I get that to some degree. Like, I'm not trying to have a guy around that's been a bum for 3-4 years. That's when I can kind of obviously say, hey, this guy, I didn't cut it. Didn't matter where I drafted him or how much hope I had for him. We obviously can tell that it isn't working. But for people to give up or talk bad about Jeff Okudah, who was the slam dunk prospect, I mean, the guy is crispy clean off the field. He loves football. He has everything you look for in a corner. I mean, did he play great this past year? Of course he didn't. But do I feel like he can easily regain his status with a little bit of swag? Let him play some techniques he's used to. He's healthy. Let him get after the football. Let him man up on people. Hell yeah, man. I'm real excited about Jeff Okudah, but there isn't too many other defensive players. I mean, my boy Tracy Walker, he's about my last leg. I'm thinking, Tracy, you're either going to ball out this year if they cut you loose, or you're going to get cut loose because you didn't do anything last year, and I'm getting sick of him, and there isn't too many others, not named Trey Flowers, that aren't going in that dumpster we talked about earlier. Aaron, this is what I like to do to people on the show. You're the GM of the Detroit Lions. With the 7th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, Aaron, the AB couch coach, fantasy football extraordinary, allegedly, selects who you got?
Oh, Micah Parsons all day long. All day long.
At 7. No doubt.
Without question. I'm going linebacker all day long. That defense needs help. One of the big things because you were just talking about Okudah and Tracy Walker, and give my boy Amani Oruwariye a little credit, I think he'll take a step forward. What people don't think of is when you've got a round coach like Matt Patricia getting in your face with a pencil in his ear that can come very close to stabbing you in your face, you're probably not really taking your job all that seriously. You're more in fear for your life. So I say keep those 3 primarily. Keep probably Trey Flowers because you have to, and bring in Micah Parsons. And I think you've got to start happening to your defense.
Oh, hold on. Did you call Matt Patricia a round coach?
I did, and you know exactly what I mean by round. I was being politically correct.
Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable. Calling him round. I've never even heard of such a thing. And like I said, I didn't want to jump in on you, but I know you listen to the show. I know you know the gimmicks of the show. You mentioned a certain corner. I mean, doesn't he go by some initials here on the show? Do you want me to do it for the people?
You do it. I can't add the emphasis as good as you do.
Oh, yeah. I would be more than happy to. But you tried to be fancy and say his whole name. Everybody on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, his name is A.O. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can show him love, but he's on my TBD list. He's on my show me something list, because you can't just come out and get roasted, toasted, extra crispy, and then make a couple plays and me be like, oh yeah, you're my other corner. No, right now you're about my 3rd or 4th corner. If I can get another guy better than you, if I can't, I'll roll you out there as a 2, and you better make some plays. So we'll see about AO, see if he can step back up to the plate. But you're taking Parsons. Here's my beef with it. Parsons, to me, is a middle linebacker with some character concerns, crazy athleticism. Kind of depends how they'd use him. And even though the draft is slotted when it comes to contracts and money now, I still do think there is really that premier on certain positions. Now, do I go crazy with it like Grifka and say, I would never draft a tight end because if there's a stud tight end and I need a tight end and it makes sense, then I'll go take one. And of course, Mr. at Grifka DKC is now coming along on TJ Hawkinson. But when I'm up in the top 7, so you're telling me if the quarterbacks are there, if the wide receivers are there, if some of these nasty defensive players at, I don't know, rush end or corner or some of the other more premier spots are there, you're still just turning in the card for Parsons? Because to me, you got to double think it when some of those other spots are there based on position value and just long-term equity for those spots.
Well, I guess the only thing that would steer me away from maybe taking Micah Parsons is if I thought he was going to fall and we could move back up and take him later, or B, if Jamar Chase is there, I might take a stab at Jamar Chase because, I mean, 99.9% of our wide receivers are going to be gone this year, and we're going to be left with, last year's Quintez Cephas, who didn't really show out like I wanted him to, and we're going to be left with Geronimo Allison, the Green Bay Packers reject.
Geronimo.
So I'd maybe I'd maybe take a swing at Chase. I'd maybe chase, but that's about the extent of it.
Benny Blade said you got to go for Devonta Smith, and I tried to tell him that this guy's a stick figure. Okay, he had a tremendous year. Would you hate that pick, or would you be okay?
I'd honestly I've been watching a lot of wide receivers lately. Jamar Chase is my favorite. Devonta Smith is my second. But what scares me is that when you've got Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle both over there running it in Alabama and just tearing things up, it's kind of like, all right, well, were you doing good because you had a decent counterpart? Because, I mean, Jamar Chase is over there doing it by himself, basically. And we're going to need somebody that can do it by himself, with Geronimo on the other side.
AB, I got to call you out again. I mean, last time I checked, Jamar Chase wasn't doing it by himself. He had a guy named Justin Jefferson over there doing some things. He had quite a few other receivers. He had a guy named Joe Burrow throwing him the football, lots of other talent. So I think we got an issue there. I might have to hit you with the old Family Feud strike. But I get your point. I'm not going to go crazy if they take Chase, Devonta Smith. How about Trey Lance? I mean, we're going to talk all about this. We're going to talk about crazy, things in the draft. But where are you at with a guy named, Trey Lance, North Dakota State quarterback?
Trey Lance is actually my second quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence. And I don't want the Lions now to do something crazy and give away all the draft picks we just got to go try to get Trevor Lawrence. Trey Lance is honestly my second favorite quarterback in this draft. I know a lot of people are going nuts about Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. I don't trust Ohio State quarterbacks. I mean, that's what's up, DeAndre Hopkins. Great job. So,
yeah, I don't know. So if Trey Lance is there, no interest from you?
I'd ponder it. I mean, if it comes down to draft day and Trey Lance is sitting there and I know that he's sitting there, I'm probably going to be going, well, it might not be a bad idea to take Trey Lance right now and have him sit behind Goff for a year. Or if Goff really starts doing what everybody says that Goff does, then we have a good backup plan, and that isn't Chase Daniels.
So yeah, Aaron, I'm with you there. I mean, Trey Lance to me is a really intriguing prospect. I think that I'm still going to be very interested in a quarterback at 7, but I'm much more in this mode now of got Jared Goff. You're paying Jared Goff. I feel like he can just sit there and play in 2021. If he balls out, you can consider him playing in 2022. If he plays horrible, you can go select your quarterback next year, preferably if you're picking in the top 10, which you probably would be if your quarterback plays horrible. And in the next 3 years, all we have to do is really get that bridge, or not the bridge, get the next leader of the Detroit Lions. And I'm totally fine with that. I feel like they have a 3-year window to find that guy as well as rebuild this roster. Unless they just love Trey Lance and have to have him, I'm steering against drafting one because I'm kind of with you, defense as well as maybe a skilled playmaker, and just say, man, we're just going to ball out on offense, be fun to watch. We'll figure out the defense in the next couple of years. That's kind of where I'm at with this team. That's why I'm a mock. I kind of took Parsons. I got Behrman, however you pronounce it, from Alabama. I got, a safety from Oregon. I got some other ballers that I liked, as well as I still added to the run game. I still got a receiver, the shifty kid from Western that everybody likes. So I think there's a lot of ways they can go about it. That's kind of where I'm at, is I'm assuming Goff's the guy. I also think that, the smart move would probably be to ease up on a QB unless you absolutely love the guy. You got to have him type of thing.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I mean, I can't imagine after this blockbuster trade to just go out and use the first round pick this year on another quarterback. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Goff's Tom Brady or anything like that, but he's a serviceable quarterback, and we have a lot of positions where we have no serviceable players whatsoever, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And if we lose all of our wide receivers and only have Quintez Cephas, we're going to need help there too.
There is no doubt. And like when you say serviceable players, like my thing too is the depth. Like people are like, oh, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift. Who we got behind them? Who? Nobody is who. Like if they go down, we're screwed. So like you got to.
Hey, you pay some respect to Jesse James.
Did you just say pay respect to the outlaw, Jesse James? I will never do that on this show. He's a piece of garbage. He's a slug. He's caught up in molasses and mud. I hate that guy. I can't wait till we throw him in the old scrap heap dumpster that we talked about earlier on the show and get rid of that horrible contract by Bob Quinn, which I hate to go to the Pac-Man drop again, but hey, Bob Quinn, Jesse James.
It was a bad decision, period, point blank. It was
horrible.
One of the dumbest decisions I ever made.
All right, Aaron, we got to do this.
Right there with you.
We've had a bunch of fun on this show. We've laughed. I introduced you to the people. You came in a little soft. I gotta admit. You kind of were trying to be professional. You want to respect Grifka's spot. Grifka knows we're doing some different shows. Grifka's gonna get back on here here soon before the people know it and tell me who's not that great and how he sat on his lazy boy and he watched a player and now he knows everything about. We're gonna do all that. But I thought you turned up the juice. You brought a little heat. You had some good takes. You had some great things here on the show. I think it's only going to get better. We're going to have you. We're going to have Logan Lamorandier, Grifka. I've got my buddy Joey from the Believe Podcast Network coming on, talking fantasy football, Lions, NFC North. We got lots going on the show and plenty of more surprises. You don't know who might show up each week. That's why you got to listen. That's why you got to drink that Detroit Koolaid.
Drink it in, man.
And Aaron, this is normally where I ask Grifka, do you have anything else for the people? And he's consistently said nope for like 2.5 years. But, man, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. I know you love the Lions. I know you love fantasy football. We'll have a show on that, I'm sure, one of these days, and you could talk all your smack. But I know you love the Lions. I know you love Detroit sports. So it's fun having you on, man. I thought you brought that energy, that juice. I thought this was a fun show, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. I love Detroit Koolaid Cast. I love Believe in Lions. If you haven't subscribed to those, definitely go do it. Obviously, if you've subscribed to this one because you're listening, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to future episodes.
Absolutely, man. Huge show. We talked about the Lions trading Matt Stafford, Jared Goff as probably the new quarterback of the Detroit Lions for a year or two. We talked about the draft. I love that. I mean, we talked about how to fix this team. I mean, we're just all over this, and we barely flipped the calendar into February. We're about a month away from free agency. We're about a month and a half, 2 months from the NFL draft. I mean, who knows what might happen with this team. We got Dan Campbell biting kneecaps. I can't wait to watch it. Everybody, drink that Detroit Kool-Aid. Thank you so much for listening. Catch us Friday. We'll be talking all things Detroit Lions once again right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.